The use of SOP-8C. This process is designed to be administered by one person, the auditor, to another, the pre-clear. SOP-8C is first used step by step, from step 1 on, until the person to whom it is addressed knows he is back of his head and no longer in the body. If the pre-clear is very difficult to exteriorize, the person should be referred to an auditor trained at the HAS Clinical Center, for there are special methods of exteriorization for difficult cases, which are contained in but are not at once visible in SOP-8C. The first 3 steps are exteriorization steps. They should be repeated over and over until certain exteriorization takes place. The auditor can go through the first steps many times, one after the other, with the pre-clear until exteriorization occurs. Doing steps 4 to 7 on a person not exteriorized should be minimized. Earlier SOPs used all 7 steps for exteriorization, a practice not followed in SOP-8C, where only the first 3 steps are used. When the pre-clear has exteriorized, one then begins again with step 1 and continues to step 7, in order, with the pre-clear exteriorized. Here, in SOP-8C, the emphasis is upon an exteriorized thetan. When the auditor has taken the exteriorized pre-clear thoroughly and correctly through steps 1 to 7 at least twice, one has then what may be considered a theta clear. To repeat, one uses SOP-8C steps 1 to 3 in that order. On one of these, the first time through, the majority of people exteriorize with certainty. As soon as exteriorization takes place, the auditor starts with step 1 again, does it thoroughly on the exteriorized pre-clear, then the auditor applies step 2 thoroughly, and so on until all 7 are done. The auditor knows when the pre-clear exteriorizes by asking him or by the pre-clear volunteering the information. Caution: do not ask the pre-clear to look at his body. If the pre-clear fails to exteriorize sometime during the first 3 steps, the auditor should simply do them again. If the pre-clear fails the second time, the auditor patiently goes through them a third time, and so on. If the matter then seems too difficult, contact an auditor trained during late 1953 at Camden by the HAS itself. The least possible result in going over these first 3 steps many times will be a considerably bettered condition of the pre-clear, superior to all past results. Only a very few pre-clears fail to exteriorize after steps 1 to 3 have been several times repeated. Caution: although this process is as foolproof as it can be made, it can be maliciously used in this wise: by giving the pre-clear constant losses, by giving him no chance to win, by bullying him, by evaluating for him, by insisting he is outside when he is not, by invalidating him, by pretending to see him or his mock-ups, or saying that one does if he does. SOP-8C, Formulas and Steps. Opening procedure, 10 minutes to 2 hours, with messed body. A. Send pre-clear to exact places in the room, one place at a time. B. Have pre-clear select places in room and move to them one at a time, still under auditor's direction. C. Have pre-clear drill in physically holding on to and letting go of objects and spaces on his own decision to hold on, decision to let go. Step 1. Location. Pre-logic. Theta orients objects in space and time. Axiom. In life experience, space becomes beingness. Formula 1. Permitting the pre-clear to discover with certainty where people and things are not in the present, past, and future, recovers sufficient orientation to establish his knowledge and certainty of where he is and they are. The application of this is accomplished by negative orientation of beingness, havingness, and doingness on each of 8 dynamics in the present, past, and future. Step 1. A. Ask pre-clear to be 3 feet back of chair. Ask him for things, people, which are not giving him directions, orders. For things, persons, he is not giving orders to. For things, persons, which are not giving directions to other things. Ask pre-clear for goals he does not have. For goals another does not have. For goals others do not have for others. For goals another does not have for him. For goals he does not have for another. For persons he is not. For animals he is not. For objects he is not. For places where he is not, for places others are not, for places animals are not, where bacteria is not, where objects are not, for places where he is not thinking. Note: All of the above are done in brackets for present, past, and future. B. If exteriorized, have him drill, while exteriorized, into holding on to and letting go of objects on his specific decision. Ask him to be in places which are safe, dangerous, pleasant, unpleasant, beautiful, ugly. Step 2. Bodies. Axiom. In life experience, energy becomes doingness. Axiom. Compulsive position precedes compulsive thinking. Axiom. That which changes the pre-clear in space can evaluate for him. Formula 2. Permit the pre-clear to discover that he handles bodies and allow him to handle bodies in mock-ups and actuality, and remedy his thirst for attention which he has received by contagion from bodies. Step 2. A. Have pre-clear mock-up bodies and unmock them. Have him get somethingnesses and nothingnesses of bodies until he feels better about them. Ask him to be 3 feet back of chair. B. If exteriorized, have him complete 2A many times and then move body while he is outside. Step 3. Space. Pre-logic. Theta creates space and time and objects to locate in them. Definition. Space is a viewpoint of dimension. Axiom. Energy derives from imposition of space between terminals and a reduction and expansion of that space. Formula 3. Permit the pre-clear to regain his ability to create space and impose it upon terminals, to remove it from between terminals, and to regain his security concerning the stability of messed space. Step 3. A. Have pre-clear hold 2 back corners of room and not think. B. If exteriorized, have pre-clear complete spacation. Note, if not exteriorized, return to Step 1. Step 4. Havingness. Axiom. In life experience, time becomes havingness. Observation. To a Thetan, anything is better than nothing. Observation. Any pre-clear is suffering from problems of too little havingness, and any reduction of his existing energy, if not replaced, will cause him to drop in tone. Formula 4. A. The remedy of problems of havingness is accomplished by creating an abundance of all things. B. As the pre-clear has rendered automatic his desires and ability to create and destroy, and has thus placed havingness beyond his control, the auditor should place in the control of the pre-clear his automaticities of havingness and unhavingness, and permit him, on his own self-determinism, to balance his havingness. C. How to make havingness. Have pre-clear put out 8 anchor points of size, thus creating a space. Have him pull in these 8 to the center, and have him retain the resulting mass. Do this using large and various objects for anchor points. Do this until he is willing to release such old energy deposits as engrams and ridges, but still continue to make havingness. Step 4. Have pre-clear remedy problems of havingness by mocking up and pulling together sets of 8 anchor points. Do this many times. Do not have him make anchor points explode in this fashion. Have him save masses thus created. Have pre-clear adjust anchor points in body. Step 5. Terminals. Axiom. Space exists by reason of anchor points. Definition. An anchor point is any particle or mass or terminal. Axiom. Energy is derived from mass by fixing 2 terminals in proximity in space. Axiom. Self-determinism is related to the ability to impose space between terminals. Axiom. Cause is a potential source of flow. Axiom. Effect is a potential receipt of flow. Axiom. Communication is the duplication at a receipt point of that which emanated at a cause point. Axiom. Wrongness in terms of flow is inflow. Formula 5. The Thetan is rehabilitated as to energy and terminals by remedying his postulates about outflow and inflow, and drills relating to the outflow and inflow of energy according to the above axioms. Step 5. A. Ask pre-clear for times he could do something, times when he couldn't do anything, for things he can do, for things he can't do, for things other people can't do, for things other people can do for others, for things another specific person can't do for him, for things he cannot do for another or others. B. Ask pre-clear for objects, actions, persons, ideas he is not destroying. For objects, actions, persons, ideas he is not making survive, persist. For objects, actions, persons, ideas he is not creating, present, past, and future, in brackets. Note, ideas are the most important here. C. Ask pre-clear for objects, persons, energies, times which are not touching him, which he is not touching, which are not reaching for him, for which he is not reaching. For objects, persons, times from which he is not withdrawing, which are not withdrawing from him, in brackets. D. Ask pre-clear for sights which will not blind him. For people he will not blind if they see him. For noises that will not deafen him. For people he will not deafen. For spoken words that will not hurt him. For spoken words which will not hurt others, in brackets. E. Ask pre-clear for ideas that will not destroy, cause to survive, persist, create or upset others, in brackets. F. Ask pre-clear for ideas, sounds, sights that will not fix people or unfix them from specific places. G. Ask pre-clear for ideas he is not trying to fix in things, for ideas he is not trying to unfix from things, in brackets. H. Have him unmock and mock up terminals and move them together and apart until he can make them generate currents. Step 6. Symbolization. Definition. A symbol is an idea fixed in energy and mobile in space. Formula 6. The Thetan who has been moved about by symbols is strengthened by mocking up and moving about and fixing in space ideas which have formerly moved him. Step 6. Have pre-clear create symbols which mean nothing. Ask pre-clear for ideas he is not trying to destroy. For ideas he is not trying to make survive, persist. For ideas he is not trying to create. Note, the above are done in brackets. Have him mock up ideas and move them about. Step 7. Barriers. Axiom. The MEST universe is a game consisting of barriers. Definition. A barrier is space, energy, object, obstacles, or time. Formula 7. Problems of barriers or their lack are resolved by contacting and penetrating, creating and destroying, validating and neglecting barriers by changing them or substituting others for them, by fixing and unfixing attention upon their somethingness and nothingness. Step 7. A. Have pre-clear reach and withdraw, physically, then as himself, from spaces, walls, objects, times. B. Have pre-clear do 6 ways to nothing. C. Have him create and destroy barriers. Step 8. Duplication. Fundamental. The basic action of existence is duplication. Logic. All operating principles of life may be derived from duplication. Axiom. Communication is as exact as it approaches duplication. Axiom. Unwillingness to be cause is monitored by unwillingness to be duplicated. Axiom. Unwillingness to be an effect is monitored by unwillingness to duplicate. Axiom. An inability to remain in a geographical position brings about an unwillingness to duplicate. Axiom. An enforced fixation in a geographical position brings about an unwillingness to duplicate. Axiom. Inability to duplicate on any dynamic is the primary degeneration of the Thetan. Axiom. Perception depends upon duplication. Axiom. Communication depends upon duplication. Axiom. In the MEST universe, the single crime is duplication. Formula 8. The primary ability and willingness of the Thetan to duplicate must be rehabilitated by handling desires, enforcements, and inhibitions relating to it on all dynamics. Step 8. A. Ask pre-clear for actions, forms, and ideas which do not duplicate specific other people. For actions, forms, ideas by which specific other people do not duplicate specific others. For actions, forms, ideas of others which do not duplicate him. B. Have pre-clear duplicate physical objects and people and possess himself of the duplicates. C. Have him make no duplicates of objects and people. D. Have him duplicate somethings and nothings. Group C. Group C is a process used on large numbers of people. It is composed of the following steps of SOP 8C. Step 1A, Step 2A, Step 3A, Step 5A to H, Step 6, Step 7, Step 8. Glossary. Preclear, a person being processed. Mock-up, a self-created image the preclear can see. Bracket is done as follows. For preclear, for another, others for others, others for self, another for preclear, preclear for another. See Step 1A. Special note. The first 3 steps of SOP-8C could be classified as beingness steps. The remaining 5 steps of SOP-8C could be classified as havingness steps. SOP itself in all 8 steps constitutes doingness, thus approximating, as described in Scientology 8-8008, the space B energy do time have triangle. Special note. In its entirety, SOP-8C could be considered as various exercises in Formula H, which involves the most basic action of the thetan, which is reaching and withdrawing. Special note. It will be noted that the negative orientation techniques are done in such a way as to make the preclear, without his being told to do so, create space. The auditor should pay specific attention when the preclear is discovering where things are not, that the preclear be caused to note specifically each time the exact location and position where the thing does not exist. This calls the preclear's attention to various positions which, in themselves, thus located, create space. Thus, throughout SOP-8C, the rehabilitation of space is also to be found, the definition of space being, space is a viewpoint of dimension. Special note. In his auditing, if the auditor does not get a communication change on the part of the preclear, whether better or worse, every 5 or 10 minutes, either the auditor is using the wrong step at the time, in which case he should progress on into the steps, or the preclear, even if he says he is not complying with the auditor's orders. The auditor thus should remain in continuous communication with the preclear, so far as possible, and should ascertain with great care what the preclear is doing after he indicates that he has complied with the direction, and to discover every 5 or 10 minutes if there has been a change in certainties or communication. Source of failures. The commonest source of failure in any step in SOP-8C is a failure on the part of the preclear to execute the orders given as they were intended to be executed, or on the part of the auditor in failing to ascertain whether or not the preclear is executing properly, or if there has been a communication change. A careful check of auditors and preclears utilizing SOP-8C has demonstrated, in each case where its use was becoming lengthy, that the auditor was failing to ascertain from the preclear whether or not there had been communication changes. And it was also uniformly discovered that the preclear, who was failing to get results while being audited with SOP-8C, was not doing the steps as directed, but was either avoiding by not doing them at all, although he said he was doing them, or was failing to understand the direction and so was executing the step in some other way. Preclear willingness. The first goal which an auditor must achieve is willingness in the preclear to receive directions. The condition of the preclear is such, in nearly all cases, that he has chosen as a main point of resistance in life direction of himself other than his own. Because the physical universe is designed to resist and overcome that which resists it, a continuous resistance to other direction than one's own results, finally, in a loss of ability, to greater or lesser degree, to direct oneself. In that it is the ability to direct himself which the auditor is seeking to return to the preclear, it must be demonstrated to the preclear solely by the process of good auditing that other direction is not necessarily harmful or in the worst interest of the preclear. Thus, to some degree, he ceases to resist incoming direction, and by ceasing to resist it, no longer validates it as a barrier, and so is not concentrating attention on resisting direction, but is able to use it freely in his own self-direction. The self-determinism of a preclear is proportional to the amount of self-direction he is capable of executing, and deteriorates markedly when a great deal of his attention is devoted to preventing other direction. Directing himself, the preclear becomes capable of execution. Preventing direction of himself, resisting the direction of others, brings about a condition where he is mainly devoted to resisting his environment. The latter results in a diminishing of space of the preclear. The first step in the rehabilitation of the pre-clear in self-direction is therefore a limiting of the amount of resistance he is concentrating on other direction and demonstrating to him that his following of the steps of SOP 8C under the direction of an auditor is not harmful, but on the contrary, increases his command and control of himself and brings him at last to the point where he can neglect and ignore the continuous stimulus-response operation of the physical universe. It can be seen clearly, then, that the auditor who sets himself up to be resisted will fail, for the pre-clear is mainly concentrating upon resisting the auditor. This is the primary factor in all auditing. The pre-clear is brought to a point of cooperation in terms of direction without the use of hypnosis or drugs, and without argument or convincingness on the part of the auditor, by which is meant overbearing demeanor. At the same time, it should be the sole intention and operation of the auditor that his own directions be carried out explicitly by the pre-clear, and that these be performed with a minimum of communication break and with a maximum of affinity, communication, and reality. Opening procedure. Using the axiom that which changes the pre-clear in space can evaluate for him, the auditor, in using SOP 8C, should use at the beginning of the first session and in any session where the pre-clear becomes unreasonably uncooperative in following simple directions, the following procedure. The auditor has the pre-clear walk to specific points in the room, touch, hold, and let go of various specific objects. The auditor should be very exact in his directions. The auditor should do this even on an apparently cooperative case at least 20 minutes before going on to the next step in opening procedure. When the pre-clear, drilled in this fashion, has at length realized, without being told, that the auditor's directions are quiet, reliable, exact, and to be performed, and not until then, the auditor uses this process. Pre-clear is asked to send himself to various parts of the room and do specific things. The auditor is very specific and exact about this, in that he has the pre-clear decide on his own determinism, and before moving from the spot where he is standing, what part of the room he is going to send himself to. When the pre-clear has decided this, and only then, but not necessarily telling the auditor, the pre-clear then takes himself to that part of the room. The auditor must be very exact that the decision to go to a certain part of the room and to reach or withdraw from a certain thing is made before the pre-clear takes an actual action, and then the auditor should make sure that the pre-clear has done exactly what he decided he would do before he moved. In such a wise, coached by the auditor, the pre-clear is led to direct himself to various parts of the room until he is entirely sure that he is directing himself to certain parts of the room and that the orders are coming from nobody but himself. Of course, before each new place is chosen, the auditor tells the pre-clear to choose a new place and tells him when to go there. The third stage of this opening procedure is then as follows. The auditor has the pre-clear be in one spot in the room and then has the pre-clear decide there to go to another spot in the room. The pre-clear leaves. The auditor has the pre-clear change his own mind and go to yet another spot. This last is done to lessen the pre-clear's fear of changing his mind, to strengthen his decision, and to lessen his reaction to his own mistakes. The last two steps of opening procedure are done at some length. It is profitable, by the experience of many auditors, to spend as much as an hour on opening procedure, even in a case which is not in poor condition. When opening procedure is omitted or is not carried on far enough, the auditor may discover that it will take him from 5 to 10 hours to get the case working. This time is saved by the expenditure of much less time in using opening procedure. Even when the pre-clear is complacent, even when the pre-clear is an obvious step 1, even when the pre-clear shows no outward sign of resistance to other direction than his own, the first communication lag lessening which the auditor will perceive on the case will probably occur during the use of opening procedure. Further, the certainty of the case is heightened. Further, opening procedure is, for any level of case, an excellent process. The pre-clear who is familiar with SOP 8 may conceive that he is doing a step which is reserved for psychotics. The pre-clear should be disabused of such a concept, since the step is used today on all cases. In the case of a pre-clear who is very resistive, opening procedure can be used with considerable profit for many hours. For such activity, however, an auditing room of the usual dimensions is usually too constrictive, and the drill may be carried on as well out of doors, even if only on a street. Auditor patter. The patter for the first part of opening procedure would be, for the auditor, Go to that corner of the room and touch the wall. Preclair complies. Go to the lamp and take hold of the lamp. Now let go of it. Now take hold of it. Now let go of it. Go to the door and touch the doorknob. Now withdraw from the doorknob. Go to the chair and sit down. Get up and sit down in the other chair. Go to the closet door and touch the top of it, etc. The auditor's patter for the second part of opening procedure is, stand there in the corner and decide on some other part of the room to send yourself to. Now, have you decided on a place? Go there, etc. Auditor patter for the third stage of opening procedure would be, stand there and decide some part of the room to go to. Decide on an exact spot. Now, do you have that? Now change your mind and go to another spot, etc. It is noteworthy that the more exact the spot to which the preclear is sent, and the more exact the action he is to take, the better the results of the process. A preclear is probably interiorized during the entirety of opening procedure. The auditor does not bother to find out, nor does he begin to exteriorize the preclear until he has entered Step 1A of SOP 8C. Opening procedure can be run using much wider space, with great profit on a case, after he has been exteriorized. When opening procedure has been accomplished, and not until then, the auditor begins on Step 1A. His patter would be as follows. Be 3 feet back of your chair. The preclear's attention is never called to the body, and he is never asked to look at the body until his perceptions are excellent, or at least until he has done the mock-up portion of Step 2. Auditor makes no further inquiry for whether exteriorized with certainty or uncertainty, or not at all. The procedure would be the same, although it is much better if a certain or even an uncertain exteriorization has been effected. Continuous auditing of a preclear in a body is destructive. In the case of a certain exteriorization, again, the auditor makes no further reference to the matter. The auditor now says to the seated, not reclining, preclear, give me 3 goals you did not complete. The preclear is not to name them, nods when he has them. Now 3 goals another did not complete. 3 goals another did not complete for somebody else. 3 goals another did not complete for you. 3 goals you did not complete for another. Auditor goes over this list many, many, many times. Give me 3 people you are not. The preclear does not vocalize who these 3 people are, but simply nods when he has all 3 of them. Give me 3 people who are not you. Give me 3 people who are not specifically other people. The correct reply is that so-and-so is not so-and-so, so-and-so is not so-and-so, so-and-so is not so-and-so. The incorrect reply would be that so-and-so isn't anybody else but himself. This can be done again around 2 or 3 times, or even carried on for a very long time, but the auditor should ask when he has done it once, have you noted any change of perception? If the preclear has not, when the auditor has done this around 3 times, the auditor should immediately go on to the next step. Give me 3 animals you are not. Give me 3 animals who are not you. Give me 3 animals who are not specifically other animals. Make the preclear be specific that a certain dog is not a cat, and so on. This, carried on for some little time, will resolve problems of eating. And as eatingness is the lowest stage of attention, the process can be quite effective. Give me 3 objects you are not. Give me 3 objects who are not you. Give me 3 objects which are not specifically other objects. The auditor may achieve several communication changes on the preclear while doing this stage of Step 1A, but if he does not, he should go on quickly to the next part of Step 1A and should not endlessly continue the first portion. SOP 8.0, 1954. SOP 8.0, Goals of Operating Thetan. Goals of Operating Thetan. 1. To be able to tolerate nothingness. 2. To be able to have or not have without consequences to memory. 3. To be in universes at will with full perception in them. 4. To communicate or receive communications in all those ways used by the body. 5. To take apart and put together in working form all automaticities. 6. To be able to handle any kind of body. 7. How do you endow and disendow any kind of body or new kinds of bodies so as to be able to create new life forms? This is a study and an art. These are not roughly done in this order. The individual becomes more and more capable all along this line as operating thetan level is reached. Operating thetan should be able to fix and unfix ideas in energy, i.e., to be able to fix into a car an idea that it can't be stolen, and it won't be. Demonstration of prowess in order to prove is very low-toned, the work of a fakir. Operating thetan is merely a state of mind. It is a contest between being an operating thetan and an inmate of the messed universe. This universe is an interiorizing universe, and if any soul aberration comes in upon the thetan, it is resisting interiorization. And that which one resists, one becomes. This universe puts upon the operating thetan the stress of resisting interiorization unless he customarily keeps himself entirely away from any phobia about havingness. The phobia to have, obsession to have something, follows as a direct result of the DEI cycle. The thetan inhibits inflow and desires it, and then inhibits it, and then he has it enforced upon him. Interiorization is 360-degree flow inward. This is why exteriorization is the top goal in processing him. He gets the idea that his ideas are fixed in energy, and the more ideas fixed in energy, the less effective they are as postulates. The more an idea is fixed in energy, the less pervasive it is as a postulate. Energy doesn't have to accompany an idea in any way, shape, or form for it to be effective. The idea is as effective as it is not cloaked in energy. When it gets fixed in energy, it pulls in a symbol. We find this to be a direct index of the sanity of an individual. He is as sane as he doesn't have energy kicking around in his bank. SOP 8.0 Example of Auditing. When a person has just been exteriorized, get his attention onto the environment. The reason why the pre-clear is in the body is because he hasn't been able to endow the environment with life. Don't run concepts when exteriorized. Running a concept is endowing something with life. A person would like to feel alive, so he makes the body feel alive. Those straight-wire techniques which give him a different environment are the best. Pretend you have just exteriorized from a lion. We never ask an individual to look at his body. The dwindling spiral is a smaller perimeter of aliveness until the person is alive only in the body. Ask the pre-clear to expand his awareness. Be alive now through this room. When you ask him to be the space of his body, you are to some extent energizing the body. Have him be the space behind his chair, around his body, and in the environment. Ask the pre-clear to put emotion in something and then feel a different one himself. Pick out the realest object in the room. Put some apathy in it while you tell the pre-clear, now you feel some boredom. Have the pillow feel apathy while you feel resentment, etc. When the pre-clear looks at the body, he is to some extent energizing it. Co-experience and sympathy with the body makes a person feel he is a body. The thetan can be deteriorated by not knowingness. So you ask him for 3 areas of blackness you don't have to know about. This will desensitize his not knowingness. If one has a compulsion to know, it is an admission that he doesn't know. The black case is being effect, and the only reason he is being effect is because he doesn't know. Avalanches have served their purpose. You should turn around now and turn on the outward avalanche. Have him pitch things away in mock-up until you find something he can reject. This will break down the never must happen again computation. Start this reverse avalanche on one object at a time. You won't get dust and bones to fly away from him or upper echelon life forms. You build him up to where he can start rejection avalanche. You will never go wrong if you keep his attention on the environment. Keep attention off his body. Example of auditing that will bring a theta clear up the line. Give me 3 places where you are not. Give me 3 places where you are not thinking. Give me 3 places you don't have to go. Give me 2 particles you are not trying to hold apart. Give me 2 particles you are not trying to hold together. Give me 3 places you are not. Give me 3 places you don't have to go. Give me 3 places you don't have to be. Be 10 feet back of your chair. Get the idea you have just exteriorized from a cat's body. Duplicate him. Duplicate him. Duplicate him. Duplicate him. Duplicate him. Throw it away. Duplicate a cat's eyes. Duplicate the eyes for use. Throw them away. Get 3 barriers not in front of you. Get 3 things you don't have to run away from. Get 3 things you don't object to having at this moment. Get something you can throw away. Get some more things you can throw away. Give me 3 places in the environment you wouldn't mind having alive. Get a nothingness around you. Duplicate it. Duplicate it. Duplicate it. What is the realest object in the area? Person says, microphone. Okay, put the emotion of fear in the microphone. You feel boredom. Keep fear in the microphone, and you feel resentment. You feel apathy. Now feel grief. Feel exhilaration. Feel you are a very personable person. Now change the emotion on the microphone. Have the microphone being happy. While it is being happy, you be angry. You feel excited. You feel serene. You feel apathetic. You feel grief. You feel enthusiasm. You feel much happier. Name yourself. Give yourself a different name. Name the ceiling something, the floor something. Let's give the microphone a name. Let's get it a personality. While the microphone has a personality, you take on a different personality. Feel like yourself. Be up on the roof. Give me 3 places you don't have to jump into. Let's check off 3 goals you don't have. While you are on the roof, throw a remote viewpoint down in traffic. Now blow up the viewpoint. Put another viewpoint down in traffic. Blow it up. Be a hearing point in traffic. Remain on the roof. Blow it up. Put a hearing point into something that is very noisy around town. Now hear it. Be 1,000 feet up. 1,000 feet above the moon. 1,000 feet above the sun. 100 feet above the earth. Above the sun. The moon. The earth. The sun. The moon. The earth. The sun. The moon. Hear. Did you feel any gravity pull? Be near the moon. The earth. The moon. The earth. Switch back and forth rapidly from moon to earth. Be at a real hot place. Make it feel hotter. Make it feel cooler. Cold. Hot. Cold. Hot. Be outside the moon. In center of the moon. Outside. Center. Outside. Center. Flip back and forth as rapidly as you can. Be at the place you entered the mist universe. Be here. Entrance. Here. Entrance. Here. Entrance. Here. Entrance. Here, etc., etc. Outside. Entrance. Outside. Flip back and forth. Let's be outside the biggest star you can find in the mist universe, a dark one. Be in the center of it. Be outside of it. Center. Outside. Center. Own it. Outside of it. Own it. Outside of it. Inside of it. Outside. Be in the center of it and savor it. Feel a little courage. Be inside feeling courage and outside feeling courage. Flip in and out a number of times feeling courage. Be inside and feel some enjoyment. Be outside and feel some enjoyment. Inside and outside feeling enjoyment. Flip back and forth feeling enjoyment. Be inside and feel density of it. Be outside and feel density. Be inside and feel its density. Be outside and feel its density. Be on the roof. See the whole area blue. See the whole area gold. See the whole area green. See the whole area gold. See the whole area blue. See the whole area black. See the whole area blue. See the whole area red. See the whole area infrared. See the whole area all colors at once. See the whole area and separate its colors. See the whole area all colors. See the whole area and separate its colors. See in any way you please. Start an avalanche of sound. Build it up. More different kinds of sound avalanching in on you. Put some more out there to avalanche in on you. Let's start them in selectively. You make them and start them in. Throw all those away. Let's outflow some sound. Some more sound. Throw it away. Be 1,000 feet up and let's dive bomb the roof. Be 1,000 feet up and soar around Phoenix like a seagull. This process was originally delivered to students in Phoenix, Arizona. Now be here. End of session. Advanced Course, Data and Procedure, 10 April 1954. Advanced Course, Data Sheet. Goals. Life has solutions for many things. It has never had a solution for aberration until now. The target of the auditor is not simply the eradication of aberration. It is the relegation of aberration to the status of a solved problem. Primary in auditing procedures is getting the pre-clear to change his mind. When he can shift postulates easily and at will, he will continue to be in good condition. When he cannot, his is a problem of other universes in which he is trapped. In any universe, one is subject to the postulates of the God of that universe. Therefore, when a pre-clear cannot be brought to change his postulates, he must be having trouble with other universes. A problem with universes is primarily a problem in spaces. Secondarily, it is a problem in energy and matter. Any pre-clear having difficulty with other universes is having difficulty with space. The definition of space is a viewpoint of dimension. Thus, other universes are created by other viewpoints. When a pre-clear has been changed in space a great deal by another viewpoint, and when he has many impacts in common with it, he may believe that he is in another universe, and mechanically, this is so. In such a way, a pre-clear may be found in Mother's universe, in Father's, in a pet's, in his body's, and is, of course, in the MEST universe, where the postulates, he conceives, are those of God. The nuclear physicist studies God's postulates. Whenever a pre-clear cannot change his own postulates easily, we conceive that he is operating upon other postulates than his own, and thus that he is in another universe. We resolve space only insofar as we need to resolve other universes. Where the pre-clear is in a universe which operates upon psychotic postulates, he is immediately pressed to face aberration. This is an E-meter problem, that of other universes, and is resolved by asking the pre-clear while on the meter whose commands he would obey, whether Father's, Mother's, etc. The meter will experience its biggest drop on those universes where he is having the greatest conflict. However, the meter will not necessarily respond on universes in which he is entirely enclosed. Removing the reacting, biggest drop, universes one at a time will exteriorize the pre-clear from all universes. The key command in all universe processing is, where, father, mother, wife, pet, would be safe. The pre-clear must then spot points in space where he is certain the person in question would be safe. Various regular phenomena then occur. The replies are not, of course, very rational. Getting the pre-clear to spot spots in space is of the essence. He must be brought to spot spots in MEST space. It will be found that spotting a spot in space is almost impossible for some pre-clears. They give conditions, not locations. Or even in using opening procedure, they cannot easily spot a location in space without their attention flicking quickly to objects. No to sex scale. There is a scale of behavior patterned on the tone scale, which starts at the top with no and goes, as follows, down scale. This is also a scale of tolerance of viewpoints, or tolerance of space, or interiorization in universes, and furnishes a fast diagnosis. No, can create space. Look, is creating space. Emote, is combining space and energy. Effort, is condensing space. Think, is wandering in condensed spaces. Symbols, has codified spaces into words and other significances. Eating, is content with spaces already condensed, but belonging to others. Sex, finds no space tolerable for present beingness, but looks to other and future beingnesses as the only chance for universes. Communication. The graph of communication is cause to effect, or cause-distance effect, or c-distance E. A perfect communication occurs when whatever is at cause point is duplicated exactly at effect point. Thus, a perfect communication contains duplication. A thetan seeking to communicate seeks to send impulses or particles from himself at C to the receipt point at E without form. Thus, a thetan has no form as a condition of a perfect communication. A body, on the other hand, when it communicates, places the condition of form into any communication it sends. Thus, a thetan working obsessively would seek to make no form at all effect points, while a body would attempt to create form at effect points. A body seeks to make something out of every communication, hence significance and deeper meanings and prior causes. A thetan seeks to make no form out of all communication, hence a nothingness. These are the mechanics of communication. They are also the mechanics of human behavior. The perfect duplication of a communication is seldom possible, hence the dwindling spiral. But harm in communication only occurs when there is no knowing about communication. Impulsive or obsessive communication alone takes exception, on the part of a thetan to something, on the part of the body to nothingness. Non-exteriorized cases. When cases are difficult to exteriorize, the auditor is involved, basically, with a tangle of universes. The thetan cannot look because he is in another universe where looking, the making of space, is forbidden. Occlusion of various kinds, facsimile looking, are present only when the thetan is in another universe than his own. In his own, he can easily look, even into other universes. Occlusion and non-exteriorization are, then, stemming from the same cause. The more difficult the case, the less tolerance of space. This is resolved by having the preclear spot space using the body perception or not. He can do this via opening procedure as well as by spotting distant messed spaces. The spot in space is more important than the object in space. Thus, one has him spot spots until he can with ease. One then begins the task of separating him from universes using universe processing. Change of space. This process has been standard for some time. It is not used on preclears until they are exteriorized. It can be approximated by non-exteriorized cases by having them spot spots in space. The goal of change of space is bringing the preclear up to present time in all messed spaces. Rapid spotting or changing into various locations where the preclear has been in difficulty keynotes this process. Interiorization, exteriorization. The preclear must be able to interiorize into and out of objects and spaces at will. Drills which interiorize and exteriorize him rapidly, time after time, from the interior to the exterior of rocks, planets, animals, and people, remedy his ability. It must be noted, however, that this decreases havingness, and this decrease must be remedied. Havingness. The preclear has so long had that he believes he must have. This lack of havingness is run by discovering what is acceptable to the preclear in the way of mass and having him pull many such objects in upon him. Pulling in enough mass will run out the engram bank. Engrams are in restimulation only because they represent energy which the preclear or the body pulls in. Universe processing, run correctly, does not upset havingness and is the one process which escapes it. Avalanches of planets and stars can be started inward and outward by remedying havingness. This is beneficial rather than otherwise. Such avalanches should be put into the control of the preclear with starting, stopping, and changing their inflow and outflow. Grand Tour. This is the process of taking the newly exteriorized preclear to various locations in this solar system and is change of space and interiorization-exteriorization combined. The preclear is sent to places near the Earth, the Moon, the Sun, Mars, etc. This is done rapidly and many times. He is then exteriorized-interiorized out of and into these heavenly bodies. He is made to move down to planet surfaces and to centers, as opposed to being in positions, but he is also made to be in positions. In other words, he is rapidly changed in space and is also, during other intervals, made to move through space. A grand tour is completed, actually, by change of space through all the important spots where he has had experience on the whole track of the messed universe. SOP-8C. This process, as developed, continues to be successful in general hands and is recommended for instruction of auditors in other than the advanced clinical course and for use by book auditors. It is a powerful weapon and is chalking up many successes. Other processes. There are many patch-up and emergency processes. They are of varying value. None of them have been abandoned. Where an auditor has these as part of his know-how, he should use them in relationship to their effectiveness in his experience. He should not, however, compulsively continue with a process which he is not finding very useful in his hands, simply because it makes nothing or makes something of the pre-clear. A case in point is the obsessive use by many auditors of the early processes of Dianetics. These auditors have fixated on making nothing of pictures. In Scientology, we have better processes and have had better processes for some time. In fact, Scientology processes are so much better than this that we terminated the temporary use of the word Dianetics. Older processes and emergency processes in particular have not been invalidated. Auditors would, for instance, discover that engrams can be made to vanish by having the pre-clear remedy his havingness, or by finding places where pictures would be safe for a few hours. Any phenomena can be remedied by 8C or universe processing. The results of these have the great advantage of being stable when attained. Advanced Course Procedure. Continually working with students in the advanced course, I have been able to codify procedures in such a way that they work very consistently for auditors. First, establish a two-way communication with the pre-clear, either by discussion or questioning in generalities. Get him to talk a little, then run next to last list of self-analysis to measure his communication lag for future reference and to avoid falling into one of those cases unawares. Second, run from 10 minutes to 2 hours of opening procedure, A, until the pre-clear is happy to take orders from an auditor, and B, until the pre-clear can locate spots in space without his attention snapping onto messed objects. Third, run SOP 8C Step 1. If at this point pre-clear exteriorizes with certainty, run the remainder of this procedure, Advanced Course Procedure. If pre-clear does not exteriorize easily, he is having a major problem with universes. This problem with universes must be resolved somewhat before he can be made to exteriorize. Resolve some of the universe problems, then go to the second step, Advanced Course Procedure, above. Then run this step, 8C Step 1, again. If he still doesn't exteriorize, resolve more universe problems. To run universe processing, have pre-clear first spot spots in space. Then have him find places where E-meter reacting personnel, mother, father, etc., are safe. This is actually all there is to the process. One stays with the person selected until the charge is greatly lessened or until the phenomenon of separating universes takes place. The key command is, where are viewpoints safe? Have the pre-clear actually spot spots in space and make sure that he is certain that the viewpoint or the person is safe there. The clue to this safe is, of course, senior survival. The pre-clear gets into the winning valence because that had senior survival. Thus, he takes the viewpoints of messed objects or people which have senior survival. Beingness processing is another process similar to, but less powerful than, but complementing, universe processing. Fourth, beingness processing, by which the auditor has the pre-clear be various things until he finds things the pre-clear can be with certainty. The goal here is to get the pre-clear able to be anything in any universe or to be any universe, which is to say, to assume the viewpoint of anything. This clears up spots which the pre-clear cannot tolerate, also forms of which he is afraid. When the pre-clear is discovered being something compulsively, one finds where that would be safe, for it is a winning valence. This includes getting the pre-clear to be his first piece of space, his first piece of energy. The reason one does this last is to undercut his first period of unknowingness. The pre-clear is asked to be the space, then himself, back and forth many times. Then to be the energy, then himself, back and forth many times. A variation when the pre-clear is compulsively discovered being something is to have him be that thing, then to find places where a thetan would be safe from the viewpoint of that thing he is being. Again, the goal is to get the pre-clear to a point where he can be any object or space in any universe. Fifth, universe processing in Step 1 of 8C on the exteriorized pre-clear, alternating. Note: when the pre-clear goes into apathy on universe or beingness processing, the auditor should take care that he himself, by communication breaks, has not brought on the condition. Running opening procedure on a case which is heavily bogged into apathy is a good repair measure. But apathy results in beingness processing when the thetan has been something compulsively and is just beginning to be himself in that situation. Asking him to be the object and then be himself will run out this apathy. The apathy is the halfway mark of coming out of a winning valence and is rather inevitable. Apathy is more alive than the object the pre-clear was being. Sixth, the Grand Tour. See earlier. The Grand Tour now includes change of space to the entrance point of the meshed universe, etc., etc., etc. It also includes exteriorization-interiorization drills. Note: if pre-clear boils off or gets dull, remedy havingness. If this does not alter the condition, it is a problem in universes and universe processing should be used. Seventh, run SOP 8C in its entirety on pre-clear, including brief opening procedure. Eighth, SOP 8O. Grand Tour. This is a list to be run by change of space processing. 1. The first geographic location of the thetan in the meshed universe as soon as he came from the home universe. 2. The geographic location where he created his first facsimile. 3. Where the thetan committed his first overt act in the meshed universe. 4. Where the thetan received his first motivator in the meshed universe. 5. Where he started the first spiral, also the end of the spiral. Do this with all spirals up to present time. 6. The geographic location where the thetan first was in contact with the body in any way. 7. The jack-in-the-box. 8. The obsession. 9. The first blanketing. 10. The haver. 11. Facsimile 1. 12. Before Earth. 13. Before meshed universe. 14. The joiner. 15. The assumption. 16. His first borrowing. 17. His first nipping. 18. The ice cube. 19. The first between lives area. 20. The emanator. 21. The first theta trap. 22. The body in pawn. 23. The bodybuilder. 24. The jiggler. 25. The whirler. 26. The bouncer. 27. The spinner. 28. The rocker. 29. The boxer. 30. The faller. 31. The education. 32. The flytrap. 33. The dead. 34. The dead-X. 35. The misassist. 36. The first geographical location the thetan took on Earth. 37. Glare fights. 38. The first time he ran into a report station. 39. Implant station. SOP 8D, 15 April 1954. This procedure is for use by a trained Scientologist. It can be used in conjunction with advanced course procedure, and its primary goal is the delivery of heavy cases. However, it can be extensively applied to all cases. It is better to run a Step 1 well on 8C before using this process upon him. Opening procedure. Have pre-clear move his body around the room, locating spots in meshed space. Have him locate many such spots and designate them with his finger. Have him do this until he can do it very well and until he obeys an auditor's directions easily. Step 1. Ask pre-clear to be 3 feet back of his chair. This is the total step. The auditor does not press the matter further, even if the pre-clear is. Step 2. Have pre-clear look at his environment, and whatever he sees, have him duplicate it many times. Then have him duplicate a nothingness he makes or finds many times. Step 3. Have pre-clear hold the 2 back corners of the room, 2 minutes at least, or 2 or more hours. Then have him locate spots in space where he is not. Step 4. An E-meter step. Give pre-clear a full assessment by putting him on an E-meter at this point, and asking him to name the people with whom he has been associated since birth. The auditor writes these down and indicates by a symbol after each name whether the action of the needle is stuck, small, medium, or violent. On a consistently stuck needle, use next to last list of self-analysis until needle freeze. Then choose that person who got the biggest reaction on the meter, and using this person, have Preclear find spots or spaces where this person would be safe. The Preclear must be certain of the fact. The auditing command is, find some places where blank would be safe. One continues this until the needle shows no further reaction on just this first person. Then one goes to opening procedure and starts all the way through the steps again. Now one takes the same person as the auditor first chose and runs this processing question only. Spot some things which your blank does not own. This is the total question. 1 to 2 hour communication lag may not be unusual. The auditor continues to ask this question, and the Preclear continues to spot things which this person does not own until the needle is relatively inactive. Then the auditor goes to opening procedure, above, and continues through the steps. But now he takes a new assessment and proceeds exactly as before. Places where blank would be safe is universe processing. Things blank does not own is ownership processing. No variations of command of any kind whatsoever should be used by the auditor, as these are not dichotomies, and variation can be very hard on the Preclear, even making him ill. The auditor should add the spirit of man, the spirit of woman, God, and the body. Study this process well before using it. Do not depart from it or vary it until Preclear is stably exteriorized. The actual goal of this process is to bring the Preclear to tolerate any viewpoint. Scientology, its general background. Outline of professional course lectures. Lectures of 19 July 1954. Scientology, its general background, and 20 July 1954, Bridge between Scientology and Civilization. Scientology, its background, or a history of knowledge. Scientology, the Western anglicized continuance of many earlier forms of wisdom. Skio, study. Earliest version, the Veda, knowingness or sacred lore. The most ancient sacred literature of the Hindus, comprising over 100 extant books, one or all 4 of the canonical collection of hymns, prayers, and formulas which are the foundation of the Vedic religion. The Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda, the cycle of action. The meaning of Veda, knowingness. Mention of the Book of Job as oldest written work from India. The Tao, the way. The realization of the mystery of mysteries, i.e., the way to attain knowingness. The Tao Te King by Lao Tzu, 604 to 531 BC, taught conformity with the cosmic order and simplicity in social and political organization, entirely concentrated on the mind and its discipline. Contemporary with Confucius. The principle of Wu Wei, non-assertion or non-compulsion, control by permitting self-determinism. Dhyana, knowingness and lookingness. From mythical times, named from the legendary Hindu sage, Dharma, whose many progeny were the personifications of virtue and religious rites. We are most familiar with the dhyana in the form of Buddhism. A bodhi is one who has attained intellectual and ethical perfection by human means, comparable to our Theta Clear in Scientology. Gautama Sakyamuni, 563 to 483 BC, looked upon as founder of the dhyana. Never claimed to be anything but a human being, did not profess to bring any revelation from a supernatural source, did not proclaim himself a savior. He professed only to teach men to liberate themselves as he had liberated himself. From the Dharmapada, a collection of verses said to have been written by Gautama. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. It is founded on our thoughts. It is made up of our thoughts. By oneself, evil is done. By oneself, one suffers. By oneself, evil is left undone. By oneself, one is purified. Purity and impurity belong to oneself. No one can purify another. You yourself must make an effort. The Buddhas are only preachers. The thoughtful who enter the way are freed from the bondage of sin. He who does not rouse himself when it is time to rise, who, though young and strong, is full of sloth, whose will and thoughts are weak, that lazy and idle man will never find the way to enlightenment. Strenuousness is the path of immortality, sloth the path of death. Those who are strenuous do not die. Those who are slothful are as if dead already. The religion of Buddhism, carried by its teachers, brought civilization into the existing barbarisms of India, China, Japan, and the Near East, or about 2/3 of Earth's population. Here was the first broadcast wisdom which summated into high cultures. The Hebrews. Their definition of Messiah is a teacher or bringer of wisdom. Their holy work, known to us as the Old Testament, leans heavily on the sources we have already mentioned. Moses, giver of wisdom and law. Jesus of Nazareth, the legend of his study in India, age of 30 to 33, teaching and healing. Use of parables like Gautama. Buddhist principles of brotherly love and compassion. Death by crucifixion. Spread of Christianity into the barbarism of Europe. Religion with fur breechcloths. Close of the trade routes. Western seekers of wisdom. The separation of science and search from religion. Artificial division. The early Greeks. Lucretius, Spinoza, Nietzsche, Schopenhauer, Spencer, Freud. We think of these as beginning our intellectualism. They quickened it. The bulk of their sources were Asiatic. Scientology, Schio, study 1932 to 1954. Study in Asia. Barbaric cultures. Nuclear physics. Scientific methodology. Dianetics, a therapy. The bridge from man's earliest cultural beginnings to know. The enlightened man. The prophecy about Maitreya. Definition of religion, Webster. 3. The profession or practice of religious beliefs, religious observances collectively, rites. 4. Devotion or fidelity, conscientiousness. Religion, religious philosophy. Scientology has accomplished the goal of religion expressed in all man's written history, the freeing of the soul by wisdom. It is a far more intellectual religion than that known to the West as late as 1950. If we, without therapy, simply taught our truths, we would bring civilization to a barbaric West.